Welcome to another episode of Blonde in the Kitchen. Today, my mom will be making braised short ribs with a red wine and balsamic vinegar reduction. We start by dry brining the short ribs with kosher salt. Add your salt to the short ribs and let them sit covered with the salt for at least 30 minutes to an hour. After they've sat for 30 minutes to an hour, wash them well and pat dry. Now we're going to make the sauce. Because the vegetables are going to cook with the short ribs for hours in the oven, we will lightly saute our vegetables. For this recipe, we're using yellow onions, carrots, and celery. We're going to be adding paprika, black pepper, salt, and garlic powder to the onions once they are sauteed for about 3 to 4 minutes. To this, we will also be adding our carrots and celery and sauteing for about 4 to 5 minutes before adding our red wine and balsamic vinegar. The dream I have is to one day own a house with a reading nook so that while I'm making a dish like this, like short ribs, and they're braising in the oven for hours, I could just set the table, prepare some side dishes, and then spend the last 2 hours of cooking time reading by a rainy window. But let's move on. So after these have sauteed, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste before adding our red wine and balsamic vinegar. Now it's time to add our 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and fresh garlic. Adding the tomato paste to the sauce helps to enrich the flavor and add a beautiful color. Now we add our red wine and balsamic vinegar. The reason for the red wine is because it complements the fatty beef. The short ribs have a really good marbleization of fat, and the alcohol in the wine helps to break apart the proteins in the meat, and in turn it tenderizes it while it's braising in the oven. When all of this is combined, we're going to add beef broth and bay leaves. When I was a little girl, I always wanted to help my mom in the kitchen, so she would give me jobs like cutting salads or mixing things in the pan for her while she was preparing meat. I specifically remember the time she told me to mix in love and good thoughts while I was mixing onions for her. She said it to me in Russian, but the way it works is that when you cook something for someone else or even for yourself, think of happy thoughts or thoughts of love and care so that the wishes go into the food and are consumed by the people you're feeding. Alright, so now it's time to sear each side of the meat. Sear it for 2 minutes on each side before adding it to your baker. The reason why we sear and then braise this meat is because it has very tough connective tissue. It's not like a ribeye or even a sirloin. You can't just cook this and then expect it to taste fall off the bone delicious. So when it braises in the oven, all that connective tissue, it breaks apart, and then the meat takes in all the flavors from the sauce, and that's when you get fall off the bone delicious short ribs. Once this is seared well, add to your baker along with the sauce and cover tight with foil and place in your oven at 350 degrees for 3 to 4 hours. While they bake is a good time to make your side dishes. We made mashed potatoes to go along with our short ribs. Another good side to this dish is polenta. Now that these are ready, it is time to feast. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. The recipe is down below in the description box, and leave us a comment of your thoughts.
Yours truly, Blonde in the Kitchen.